that there will be some, and they just sort of take care of themselves. So I actually haven't given any thought to what you're talking about. I think you could probably do a better analysis of my films than I can, honestly. I'm not trying to be evasive, it's just that some people think that I come to a new movie thinking about how it connects with my other movies, but I actually don't. I mean, the wonderful thing about doing a new movie is you forget all your other movies, you know? And I forget Robert's other movies, and I forget Paul Giamatti's other movies, because suddenly we're there making a new thing, and that's the excitement, you know? And the connections, of course there are some connections, naturally, but it's not what induces me to make the movie, and that actually the realization, the awareness of those connections doesn't help me make the new movie. You understand?
You had tough times sort of starting out making films like Shivers and Scanners. You're talking about...
It's still tough times.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
No, it really is. It's still tough times. I mean, the movie that Rob and I have been talking about doing is, I've been trying to make that movie for 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's not easy doing any movie. I mean, it's amazing that Cosmopolis got made so quickly, really, and it only took about 3.5 years. Because it's unusual, because it's difficult, because it's not mainstream, and it's not really, you know, necessarily what everybody expects. So anything that interests me seems to be a very difficult sell, you know, difficult film to make. But go ahead.
I was just going to say that, I mean, in the case of Cosmopolis, it's kind of almost works in your favour, because it really feels like an incredibly zeitgeisty film, this, and thinking that DeLillo wrote it in 2003, and since then you've had, you know, the collapse on Wall Street, the Occupy movement, even the cream pie is, you know, has kind of happened.
That's right. I mean, that's true. The movie is incredibly current, current news, but it's an accident, you know?
But it's not political.
And it can be the reverse can happen, you know, it can backfire on you. I mean, just for example, I did a movie called M. Butterfly, and at the same time, there was another movie about homosexuality in the Peking opera. It came out at the same time, and I thought, how can that be? You know, how can two movies about this obscure subject come out at the same time? And there was also The Crying Game, which is also about a man who is deceptively looks like a woman, and you know, so
that seems to happen a lot in Hollywood.
It happened, but those weren't even Hollywood movies, none of them. No, so it's strange. Maybe I deserve this, you know, where the movie we did, which is sort of obscure and irrelevant, comes out at a moment when it's very relevant and not obscure. You know, that maybe it'll help people will be interested, because it's of the topicality.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to get one at the back. There's a hand wiggling over there.
Could be a severed hand.
Is there a microphone coming? Yeah.
Would you ever think of doing a comedy?
Who are you asking?
Rob, would you either?
We both just did one.
It is a
comedy. But would you do one with your British accent?
I feel very naked doing my British accent for some reason. I feel like I'm not really acting. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever and also English things aren't very good. Sorry.
This is not his real accent. He's putting this on.
No, I'd love to, but I haven't. If I find something, if you hear about anything, let me know. Speaking of which, the other movie which we're making, I'm going to set up a PayPal account, which
it could be crowdfinancing. Yes.
Microphone coming.
My question is, how was your relationship like with the book when it came to directing the film and preparing for your role?
My relationship or David's relationship? I hadn't read any DeLillo before I read the script, so the script seemed, the dialect seemed incredibly foreign to me. And when you read a bit more, you read his other books, there's a similar cadence in it. So I was just like, what is this? When I first read it, and that almost immediately made me want to do it, just because it was fresh. And how did I prepare for it? I mean, to be honest, you couldn't really do it in a conventional way. I tried everything I could to try and prepare for it like I would another movie. You know, thinking where the guy comes from and everything, but nothing really made it. Nothing really was relevant. It was just from the first day on set, a rhythm. We kind of established a rhythm over the first few days, and then it kind of developed from there. But it's one of the only movies where a lot of directors say they want to have things evolve organically, and they're just lying, basically. But this was genuinely, I mean, it really felt like it was kind of growing as we were doing it, which was interesting.
Yeah, for me also, I mean, I had read a lot of Don DeLillo's books before, but not Cosmopolis, and as I said, it was the dialogue, you know, that made me think this could be a movie. But ultimately, though, once I had the script, and I wrote it very quickly. I mean, really, you know, it only took 6 days to write the script, and it can take a year or 2 years often to write a script. We never looked back. You know, we know after that I don't refer to the book anymore, because you have to accept, and I know this from adapting books by Stephen King and William Burroughs and J.G. Ballard and Patrick McGrath, that you are creating a new thing. It is not the same as the book. It cannot be the same. So it's a kind of weird hybrid fusion of your sensibility and the writer's. And once you accept that, you got the script, you forget about the novel, you know, and now you just go with your actors, with your crew, with everybody, and you create this new thing. And you know that because the script has its hooks into the novel, that there will be those legitimate connections between the movie you make and the book. But that's as far as it goes, I really.
Even Don was saying the scene between Eric and Benno at the end was different to how it was in the book. I mean, in a good way. Yeah. He was saying, I mean, it's not, the relationship's different. It's a different balance of power.
Yes, it's interesting because the dialogue is exactly the same as it is in the book, in that scene, and well, all the scenes. And yet the way the actors play it, and where the camera is, and so on, there's a lot of, even by being absolutely faithful to the dialogue. I mean, I didn't want any improvisation by the actors. I really wanted them to say the dialogue as it was. But even within that, there is so much that an actor could do with intonation, with movement, with body movement, with choreography, everything else, head angle, that it inevitably is going to be different from, well, what the writer thought he was writing, you know. But that's, for a good writer, that's exciting. I mean, Don loved the movie, and he wasn't upset by things that were different. I think he was rather excited by that, you know.
I think we've got time for one more question. Lady just here.
I have a question about the last scene in the movie with Paul and Robert, because it is a really intense scene, I think, with lots of different emotions. And my question is, how do you get prepared to play such a scene? Because I can't think you come just to the set and say, okay, let's go, because it's really, really intense to watch it.
I kind of just turned up and said, okay, let's go.
Well, true. I mean, see, I don't do storyboards or anything. I really want the collaboration of my actors in how the scene flows and how it moves. And so we start by saying, okay, where are we going to play the scene? Okay, he has to kick through the door, and then Paul is in the toilet, and goes. But after that is, where do they move, and when, how do they move, and when do they get up, and when do, you know? And we just fake it, basically.
We hadn't even seen the set until that day. I remember the one thought I had, I got so relaxed by that point, even though it was a 22-page scene or something. I had one idea the night before, which was saying the line about the toilet, into the toilet. And that was literally my only idea. And then we got to the set, and it wasn't a toilet, it was like a porta potty. And so, I mean, you know, I was just saying that idea to you, and he's like, yeah, go in the porta potty. And it was the three of the most key lines in the movie. I mean, like, the answer to the movie. And I was inside the porta potty in a wide shot, and Dave was just like, yeah, I like it, let's move on. Like, I did that kind of as a joke,
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I could have done a close-up, but I really thought it was very effective just staying away and then letting the actors come towards us afterwards. And that's something that was spontaneous. I didn't plan it. I didn't have any idea how we were going to do it. And it's when I hear the actors and I say, no, it's actually really effective doing it the way they did it, far away from the camera. There's something wonderful about that distance. And there are no rules to guide you, really. For a director, it's your experience as a director. But there's no rule book that says this is how you do this scene. You're making it up.